Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Like I mentioned in my last two videos, I talked to you about my New Year's Eve Belizean trip. And I kept hinting to the dark ending. I warn you, I have some very graphic pictures and video. So if you don't have the stomach for it, just subscribe and stop right now. You can watch another video that's a little less creepy. So make sure you subscribe. I'll wait. How did I get here? How did I get here? Hope you subscribed. So this story is honestly something that you would see on Grey's Anatomy, Mysterious Diagnosis, Monsters Within Me. This is something I would have never thought to happen to me, especially as much as I travel. But for some reason, this trip, I unfortunately came back with a BOT fly infestation. Where, you might ask? In my head. So again, I warn you, I'm going to show pictures and videos of the BOT flies and of this journey, so you're more knowledgeable. So if it ever happens to you, you know what to do, because I kept getting misdiagnosed for an entire month. This is not only about how I survived a BOT fly infestation, but this is also to talk to you about how fucked up the medical system is and how doctors don't listen to their patients. And that's a problem. I went to so many doctors and was prescribed so many medications, and none of it worked. But if they would have listened to my story and listened to all of the details instead of rushing, instead of assuming that they know everything, then I would not have to go through what I went through. Now, for those of you that don't know what a BOT fly is, it's a fly. Kind of looks like a cross between a bee and a fly. It's fairly large compared to the flies that we're used to in the US. It's too big to lay its eggs on a human. What it does is basically rapes a mosquito mid-flight. So then as the mosquito goes and bites and lands on humans or animals, then they burrow themselves in your skin and then they grow. Let me start my story with how it all began in Belize. I did feel a little tingle. Now, I honestly thought it was because my hair was in braids, and at one point I did pull my hair like half up, half down. Like, you know, when a strand is just being pulled in like an awkward direction or being pulled too tight, let me just move that around and like so it will loosen up. It stopped, but then I noticed it like would just come back randomly. I really realized that something was not right towards the end of the trip, when I was on one of the tours and my hair was down. While the wind was blowing, I just constantly felt the tingle. So I was like, well, clearly it's not a strand being pulled. So I come back to the States and I noticed that a rash starts to form on my head and my lymph nodes began to get swollen. And so now I'm thinking maybe I have like an ear infection, maybe I just had a bad flight, but I still wasn't thinking that I got bit by some crazy bug. So of course I have a bunch of friends that are in the medical field. So I'm like, hey, what do you guys think this is? A lot of my friends told me that it looked like I had zosters, which is another word for shingles. The first doctor I went to, granted, I'm COVID negative, but he told me that it looked like I had cellulitis. He put me on an antibiotic called Bactrim. Maybe after a day or two, it started to swell by my head, and then it slowly made its way down the left side of my face. I have cellulitis, which is just a rash of the skin. Like, why now is my face swelling? I go to another urgent care. She presses on them, pus comes out. So she said, you know what? I think you need to go to the emergency room. I think you need to possibly get tested, maybe do a blood test. There's but so much we can do for you here. They looked at my head and they also said it looks like zosters. The doctor in the ER prescribed a second antibiotic, and they also gave me prednisone to bring down the swelling in my face. The swelling went down a little bit. The bumps were still there. They were just kind of getting more swollen. And then I was also in a lot of pain. I felt like something was just stinging so bad, and then it felt like the pain was traveling from where the bumps were to the middle of my head. When I tell you excruciating pain, and it does go along with shingles. Shingles usually is along a nerve line. It does cause a lot of severe nerve pain. And everyone that I asked that has had shingles has said the same thing. It's no joke. It's really painful. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And I know a lot of people think shingles is an older diagnosis, especially if you've had chickenpox, then it's the same virus that lives in your body that can just come out at any point if you're overly stressed or at an older age. But from the people I've spoken to, a lot of them had shingles at a younger age. So the whole age thing definitely went out the window. I never had the chickenpox. I've actually got the vaccine when I was younger. So it really did not make sense as to how all of a sudden I got shingles when it's supposed to be the same virus. But I just assumed maybe I was an anomaly. Taking this other antibiotic, still in a lot of pain. I end up going back to the emergency room, but I just decided to go to a different hospital. They tell me, yep, it definitely looks like shingles, but you shouldn't have been on an antibiotic. You should have actually been on an antiviral because shingles is a viral infection, not a bacterial infection. But if you don't take an antiviral within 3 days, it's too late. So I just had to let it run its course. But they did decide to prescribe me gabapentin, which was for the nerve pain. I could not sleep. I was crying. You don't understand how much I've cried dealing with this situation. I also make an appointment to go to the dermatologist. Dermatologist says the same thing. We can give you another antibiotic, antibacterial ointment to put on your head. But mind you, that starts burning. I even have like a follow-up because she tells me, come back in 2 weeks. You have to kind of let it run its course since you're almost at the month mark. So for the next 2 weeks, I just dealt with the pain, hope that the nerve medication that I was taking was going to work, to find out that it wasn't necessarily for acute pain, it was for long-term pain. And honestly, I don't wish this on anyone, to really think that something is burning in your head, like your nerves are on fire. There was one night, it was so bad, I was afraid to try to even go to sleep. What if I don't wake up? It started to become very traumatizing. Like I was partly wishing I just ended up having it at some other part of my body than on my head. When I go back to the dermatologist for the 2-week follow-up, my head is still swollen, my face has not fully gone down. She decides to prescribe another antibiotic. And mind you, every doctor that I went to, I told them that I traveled. I told them that after a certain point, the blisters that I had on my head were pulsating and they would just go like this. And normally if something has pus, press on it, pus would come out. But when I would press on it, nothing would come out. They would just ooze and bleed on their own. Every doctor I went to, I was like, yo, can you take a blood test, a culture, anything? Something is not right. My mom even started reading this book called The Medical Medium, which had a chapter solely on shingles. And it had a list of certain foods to eat, certain minerals to take that help with the nerve pain, that help with inflammation, cleansing the body, especially when you have some sort of illness. Because I don't really believe that all the medicine that people prescribe you automatically help. If I can go the natural route and heal my body, then that's the route I would like to take. So now I'm on this third antibiotic prescription. I'm still taking gabapentin, and I even asked the dermatologist, should I go and see an infectious disease doctor? No, we're dermatologists. I think we know how to handle shingles. So at least I asked, can I go to a pain management specialist? That doctor thought it was weird. The dermatologist told you this was shingles? That's weird. Like, why is your face swelling so much? And all they could really do for me was increase the gabapentin dosage that I was taking. So before I was taking 300 milligrams 3 times a day, now they upped it to 400. Literally 2 days after, I'm on the higher dosage of gabapentin. I'm on this third antibiotic, and also taking Tylenol and Motrin to try to like ease the pain because I wasn't sleeping at all through the night. Like I was still constantly crying. It was starting to become very overwhelming and depressing because besides my face being swollen, I'm tired and I want something to work. When I woke up on Friday, which mind you, I came back from Belize in January. Now we're into February and my left eye is basically swollen shut. I need to go back to the hospital.
This is how I wake up. I am over it. I don't know what the issue is.
And you know how the attending doctors usually have like a resident that also comes in, go through the motions, ask you the questions. So luckily this doctor had a resident. She was asking me about my story and I told her everything. And the attending doctor said, yeah, she was pressing on it. I think we could just drain here. I'll just use a needle, drain this part. They had a plastic surgeon come in only because my eye was swollen shut. Yeah, definitely give me antibiotics, drain it, send me home. Luckily, the resident that was there said, I think she has a parasite. And the attending doctor was like, no, I don't think so. And she said, no, look. And remember when I mentioned that my bumps were pulsating? That was because the larva of a botfly has to come up to breathe. So the holes that were on my head, where the pus and the blood was coming out of, was for those things to breathe. She was right. I had a parasite. It's a whole different ball game at that point. Every resident in that hospital now wants to come in and see my BOT fly infection. It literally was like a party in my hospital room because they wanted to see, they wanted to ask questions. I'm all for it because the fact that you're interested in what is going on shows me that you are gonna find the proper way to fix it versus all of these doctors that I went to that just gave me drugs and sent me home. Once somebody tells you that they traveled, especially a country in Central America, maybe you might want to look into what could possibly have happened from that country that you came from. No, I was literally told it has nothing to do with that. So now they explain what the process is with this. Because the larvae of the botflies have to come and breathe, they need to block the airway so that they try to come out, so then they can try to pull them out. So they cover my head in Vaseline. Low key, I was like, all I needed was some damn Vaseline. But literally for hours, I just laid there and you can literally see the larva trying to climb up through the wad of Vaseline. And even though the resident would try to grab them, they would just pop back down. When I say they, there was 4 of them. And the new attending physician, he came in and he chose violence. And if you see the picture of the botfly, they have like these teeth that are in the front. That's how they eat and they feed off of like your tissue and blood and all of that. And then the part that's in the back is how they release waste and how they breathe as well. And then the black parts that are around it are like their little spines, how they burrow themselves into the hole. So even when you pull them out, the spines are backwards so that it's not that easy to pull them out. Like they hold on. I was not asleep. I was not numbed at all.
Grip the rest. Okay, keep going. Steady, not too hard. All right, there it is. All right, 3 down. 3 of them down.
Oh, you're doing great.
2 more to go.
Okay.
As you can see, it is not a pretty sight. Looking at this video, looking at these pictures, I'm like, how? Why? What? What? How did I come back with 4 freaking botflies in my head? Honestly, I really would not think that something like that would happen to me. You watch these things on TV and sure, especially if you travel as much as I do, it's possible. Especially me, I like to go on adventures and go in the forests and jungles and shit. Now, granted, they say they're not life-threatening because after a certain amount of weeks, they would have just fallen out on their own, tried to find some dirt to bury themselves in, and then they would have became flies. But there are some instances, especially if you have them in your head, if they do burrow too deep. But the whole reason that I decided to do a video on this was because the medical system that we have, and a lot of people have talked about being a Black woman and going to the hospital and to doctors and like how they don't listen to you. But unfortunately, one of the ER doctors that chose not to listen to me was a Black woman. All skin folk, not kinfolk. And I even told the resident this, how grateful I am that one, she stuck to her gut, didn't just listen to what the attending physician said. So while I was at the hospital, always talking to my partner in crime, Jasmine, and as you saw in the video previously, she was on this Belize trip with me, but she didn't have like a rash anywhere like I did, but she did have 1 bump. That sounds very nasty, but she did have 1 bump. You know what? I'm gonna actually let her come in and tell her side of the story. Jasmine, are you there? Hi, Jasmine. Thanks for joining me on my Botfly TED Talk. So, say when you noticed the bump that you had.
I always noticed that I had a bump. I thought it was a mosquito bite. I was in the shower one time and it just like stung really, really, really bad, which was weird because it's like, what mosquito bites sting? From the little bump, and then it came puffed out, and then I got like little small bites around it. I did have to get convinced to go to the doctor because I was like, just a bite. It's weird. But I was in like excruciating pain at work, hunched over, like holding my stomach.
And we really didn't think it was the same thing because the way my bumps came was like a rash. We zoomed into my pictures and realized that they actually did look the same. But because mine was in my head and under my hair, I guess it looked more like blistery versus hers being on her stomach.
And then I went to the dermatologist. She took a sample, but then when I went back, she was like, nothing alarming. And I was just like, all right, that's good.
But so while I was at the hospital, when they were like, okay, you need to block the airway, cover it with Vaseline. Let me text Jasmine, cover your bump with Vaseline and see if it starts moving. And that's exactly what happened. So now we have become the parasite twins. So now Jasmine's like, I can't do this by myself.
You're gonna figure the fuck out.
I can't do it. And I'm at the hospital like, girl, I got 4. Like, what's up? So Jasmine's mom tried to take hers out, which didn't go so well. I think when Jasmine's mom tried to grab it, it kind of like broke off. And then she went to the hospital because then I'm like, yo, you need to go because you need to try to get that thing out. There's a whole body. It's a big body, okay? It's like...
big botfly. It's a big botfly.
Big botfly, all right? It's fat. So now I'm leaving the hospital. She's going to the hospital. They tried to like cut into her hole, but I partly feel like maybe they just didn't know what they were looking for. Because the thing is tan.
Bro, no, they knew.
You think
I showed them all kinds of pictures and her videos. The point is that I still might have a botfly in me.
Botfly Betsy.
I might have to get like surgery for it just to kind of get it out because I did get stitches in 3 different places. You know, they cut over the bump, she cut to the side, and got the ultrasound. I see it like a circle. I'm like, yes, get this shit out. Finally. It's really close to your abs and we don't want to cut too deep.
To be continued on when Jasmine's botfly fully gets out.
What if mine wasn't as really aggressive as yours? What if mine wasn't as full grown and it was just that little thing that my mom took out?
Watched a video that had one that wasn't as big as mine. It still had a little part that had the black things on it. But then it had like the longer piece, yeah.
So I think my mom took the longer piece because she said that that's what kind of came out.
Yeah, I saw it on the FaceTime.
Did you really see it on FaceTime?
Yeah.
Because I was holding.
Yeah.
I think you guys know that. So after Traylon went and got hers.
She FaceTimed me while I was still at the hospital. I was getting discharged. And while we were on FaceTime, the resident doctor was like, Can I see your stomach? So I did see it like come up. You know how then they pulled mine out? They pulled it out like slowly to make sure they grabbed the whole thing. Yeah. I think like your mom tried to like grab it.
She did. Like tried to yank that shit out.
And it needed a slow caress. It's probably dead though. Which I don't know if that makes it any better, but I feel like if it can't breathe, it's probably dead. But then it's like, will it just evaporate into your skin?
Bro.
Not evaporate, but you know what I mean, dissolve.
That shit, what?
That's why you need more minerals. To cleanse your body.
No.
To cleanse whatever is in your body.
Don't do that to me.
I'm just saying, because if it's still in there. So not to scare you from going to Belize. I think Belize is a beautiful country.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
It's definitely worth still going. I would just really cover yourself in bug spray. I think if I travel anywhere, I'm going to spray my head. I feel like in the US, you don't think, oh, I got bit by a mosquito on my head. Like that usually doesn't happen. It's usually other parts of your body. I might even use fucking bug spray as setting spray when I do my face because I can't. This was an ordeal. This isn't just a video about like, oh my God, there was this bug. It was also for me to talk about how people that are supposed to be there to help you don't even listen to your full story. Honestly, it's partly fucked up. Like people either are tired of their fucking jobs, don't want to be doctors for the right reason, or just want to just like
in and out.
I get it. People can be annoying. We've both worked in customer service. People can be annoying.
Right.
And yes, you might want to be like, oh my God, this person's going to be annoying and you might not want to do whatever. But you can't automatically assume every customer is going to be annoying and that you just don't want to do for them the same way. If somebody is telling you that this is what's going on and these are the things that happen, don't just brush it off. Like I had a nurse that was so spastic that she didn't even listen to my story and literally said, oh, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that you came back from Belize. with my half of my face swollen, and them saying that it was like shingles or just a skin rash, but then still prescribing me the wrong medication, even for shingles. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Even when I came back, like, I've been getting daily or weekly checkups, and I told the dermatologist that it was a parasite. She kept saying, oh, so it was just an abscess? And I said, no, parasite. An abscess, so they just drained it? No, they had to extract it. Like, do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, or do you just want to keep saying what's on your computer because what's on your computer was the wrong thing from the jump?
Doctors now at this point in my mind are just consultants. Like, I would hope that you read this medical book that I did not read. So when I tell you these symptoms, that hopefully you piece it together. But now at this point, if I ever feel like I need to go to the doctor, and if I ever feel like I need some sort of specialist, I'm gonna be like, no, I need you to give me a referral to the specialist. I don't care if you agree or not, because I probably could have been diagnosed a lot sooner, and it could have been taken out a lot sooner. That shit is wild to me. It's wild. It's very frustrating now that I've experienced this, but I try to laugh about it, you know.
I try not to stress about it with my mom.
I really feel bad for my mom, because my mom really was here, like, all she could do was watch me cry in pain. Nothing was gonna make it any better. No hot or cold compress, with the Advil, Tylenol, like so many things I was on. I was in excruciating pain every couple hours. And my mom just had to sit there and just be there for moral support. And I'm like, I can only imagine what it's like watching your child go through that and you can't do anything. Even watching a friend go through that, that's hard.
Every morning I'm like, how you feel? She made a picture, I'm like this.
Horrible. I literally was the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Dame, whatever, for about Dame. Isn't it Notre Dame? It's Notre Dame.
Notre Dame?
Yeah. Or the creature from Lord of the Rings. I was all of them. That's what I kept saying. So I make a joke about it now. Us being the parasite sisters, you know, our friendship now has crossed many boundaries.
It's done. Bro.
We have now shared the same parasite. But at least you only got one. I have 4.
That's a fact.
And I partly would have felt better if it was somewhere else in my body than it being in my head.
I think so too.
My whole face was like, something is here that should not be here. Please help. Help.
Every day.
Help. And then I just kept thinking I was gonna die. I honestly really thought I had days that I was like, I'm not.
She was like, my face is gonna be like this for the rest of my life. And I was like, your face is not gonna be like this.
I thought when things are swollen for too long, then it just, you know, your skin gets saggy. So I was like, what if I already don't have eyelids to begin with. Like, what if my eyelids now are gonna be all puffy?
Either way, as you can see, her face is fine.
I'm back to normal. I still have some scabs. One is a little pussy though.
Yeah, can you pick it?
Yeah, it was pussy before. Oh, what were you doing?
I was looking.
Oh, it looked. I thought. I don't know.
I was like zooming in with myself.
Luckily, I'm cute. Okay. Don't be afraid to go to Belize. Just protect yourself. Advocate for yourself anytime you go to a doctor.
Yeah, because this could happen anywhere, honestly.
Other countries have bugs that we don't have here in the U.S. and bacteria.
Could have got a skin infection somewhere. Like, anything could have happened.
That's why I'm going to keep on traveling.
Don't curse Belize.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Just bathe in bug spray. So definitely make sure to come back. Hopefully my other videos will not be as nasty. Hopefully I don't have this experience again. But like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Definitely share so that you and other friends, if you're trying to travel, you know what to look for.
Right.
Thanks for coming back, for my bot fly TED Talk.
Anytime.
See you next time.
So, I don't really know why I'm crying, but I got an MRI because my head still, bothers me. I feel like my nerves still feel funny. And basically, they just say, I just have to deal with it. There's nothing, that could be done. I guess, it could take 6 months to a year for it to just, I guess, be fine. I don't know why. I just started crying. I don't know. It just kind of sucks when you just want someone to tell you this is exactly what's going on, or this is a way to fix it, or I don't know, something, instead of just hearing like you have to just deal with it. So like under my skin, it keeps like it still tingles and it'll like itch, and me scratching it doesn't do anything, but I just feel like there's nothing else I can do. I went and had a whole MRI of my brain, so I guess like nothing's wrong with my brain, which is good. I don't know, maybe I just went to the wrong fucking doctor, because this doctor had no idea what the hell Belize was or where it was or that it was a country. Like when I was trying to explain to him what happened, I felt that he was listening, but he never heard of Belize. Like he asked me to spell it. I'm just aggravated. Well, this is my update, I guess, after 2 months